In this video, I'll show you how to make a level select system using a widget to select a level, and actors in a map to unlock new levels for the player to select. The tutorial is going to work for both persistent world and level streaming, and there's not much else more to say about it, so here we go. Before we begin with the whole level select setup, we're going to open up the content browser, right click and type in structure. In this file, we're going to call s_level map. And this list is going to contain every variable that is involved within our level select system. For our first, we're going to select name. To the right, we're going to click the drop down and go to map. For our second value, we're going to select Boolean. And we're going to name this level name. Then we're going to add a new variable. This is going to be our current level. And it's just going to be a single name. For our level name, the name of our level is going to have a Boolean attached to it that's going to be checked positive if we unlocked that level, and it's going to be unchecked if we have yet to unlock it. And our current level name is just going to be a placeholder value for us to be able to handle working through our level select. Now that we have both of those, we also need to make a game instance if you don't already have one. We can right click on our content browser and go to Blueprint class. Then we'll go to all classes and we can type in game instance and get the same one that says game instance. And we'll name this BP_GI, just because there's a built-in game instance that comes with every new project, but it doesn't have a blueprint associated with it. So for us to be able to have our level map put inside of the instance, we need a blueprint. So we're going to open up our new game instance, and we're going to add a new variable. We could just call this levels, and the type is going to be the struct that we just made, which is s_level map. Compile it, and for our levels, we're just going to make 3 levels. Level 1, level 2, and level 3. And we'll check them all as true for now. Then we'll compile it and save it, and we don't have to worry about our current level just yet. Now that we have our game instance, we want to go to Edit and Project Settings. And right under Maps and Modes, we want to change our game instance from game instance to the blueprint that we just made. Now that we have the game instance set up, we're going to make a new actor. And this actor is just going to be a basic actor. And this can either be an object that is in the game that the player will interact with, or a box collision that the character walks through. The information we're going to take from this actor is the level that we just unlocked. So I'm just going to name this BP_unlock actor. And we need to get a box collision. And just so we can see it in the map, I'm also going to get a cube. The box collision will have to be scaled up a bit. So we'll just say 3 times the size in scaling. And if we go to our event graph, well, we have box highlighted all the way on the right. On component begin overlap, we're going to cast to our game instance. So we want to get game instance, cast to BP_GI. Then we want to get the struct variable that we made. So get levels. And we can split the pin. For this, we're only going to be worrying about the level name. So if we overlap with this box collision, we want to check to see what level we're going to be going to. That variable is going to be held inside this actor. So under variables, we'll just create a new one and we'll call it toLevel. And that is going to be a name variable. Dragging off of our map variable, we'll get a find. And we'll get our toLevel as the key. So now it's going to check to see our map array to see if we have this level existing. We want to take the second pin to our find and connect it to the condition. And then we'll drag out from the map again, and then we will add. Make sure you get the add under the map operator. And we will add our toLevel to our map. We already have it, so what add will do is overwrite the value. So then we will check our Boolean here. So now if our toLevel is not already unlocked, adding it and unlocking it will change that in the struct. Now that we have the infrastructure in place, we're going to be making a widget to be able to set up our level select. We're going to start off with a button that gets the name of the level and passes it along when the button is pressed. And then we're going to have a second widget that's just going to be a vertical box that's going to handle the logic of selecting the level, as well as populating the vertical box with as many buttons as we need, according to the levels that we've already had unlocked. So we'll right click in the content drawer and just search for a widget blueprint and just get a user widget, and we'll name this W_button. And we'll start off by getting a canvas panel, then a button, and we'll anchor it to the center of the screen. Then we're going to get a text and just drop that into the button so then it looks like this as a child of our button. The button we're going to keep as a variable and we'll just call it level button. And our text is also going to be a variable, and the text is just going to be called button text. And feel free to move this and design it as you see fit. After you have it looking how you'd like, we're going to open up the graph. And we're going to create a new event dispatcher. And we'll just call the event onButtonClicked. And for the inputs, you have to click this plus new parameter here. And we're going to add a new variable called level name. And it's going to be of type name. Now we'll get our level button, and on the right, we'll click the plus next to onClicked to create a new event. Then we'll drag off our onButtonClicked, and we will call it. Then we're going to create a new variable that's also going to be of a name. It's going to match the level name. Actually, if you like, you could just right click on level name and promote that to a variable. So now every time this button is clicked, we're going to call this event, and it's going to take in our level name. Now that we have this made, we're going to be binding it in the next widget that we make. So again, right click in the content drawer, get a widget blueprint, user widget, and this is going to be W_level select. So again, we will get a canvas panel. In the canvas, we will get a vertical box. Again, we'll anchor it to the center. We'll rename this button box. Set it to be a variable. And then we can go over to the graph. We'll delete the pre-event construct and event tick, and we are going to be using the event construct. Again, we want to cast to our game instance. So we'll get game instance. Cast to BP_GI. And again, we get our struct. And again, we split the pin. So recall on our unlocked actor, whenever we interact with this object, we're sending this information back into our game instance. So if we've already unlocked a level, by the time we get to the level select, it will show up here. So we are going to drag off of the map and get keys, which is going to search through every level name that we have, and we'll get a for each loop. Then we'll drag off the map again, and we will get a find, and we're going to connect the array element. We get a branch after our loop body, and this time we're going to take the top Boolean value for our keys rather than our value. And if we did find a level, we need to have a function here that will generate a button into our button box. So we can click on the plus for our functions, and we will call it add button. First, we're going to create a button widget. We get create widget. And our class is w_button. And we want to pass this function the level name. So under inputs, we're going to get a name variable, and we can just call it level or level name, whichever you prefer. Off of our button widget, we're going to set the level name to be what this level name input is. Then we want to drag in our button box and add a child. The content is going to be our button widget. And we also want to set the button text to be the name of the level as well. So we can get button text, then set text. And we'll take our level name, and you can connect it directly to text. It will create this toText name node, which is fine. And then we want to add an output as well. And that output is going to be of w_button object reference. Then we pass it the return value of our button widget. Now we'll go back to our event graph, and we'll drag in the function. And the level name that we're going to add is going to be whatever array element we are currently checking. And then after we create the button, we want to make use of the onClicked dispatcher that we had created in the button widget. So off of our, this is new param, but you can rename that to button if you'd like. Off of button, we want to bind event to onButtonClicked. And And on the event, we'll just create event, and we can just create a matching event because we want to make sure that it has the level name variable rather than just creating a custom event normally by right-clicking the blueprint. And this will just be called go to level. So we're going to promote this level name to a variable. We can keep it as the same type. When we click on the button, this is going to have to close down the widget. So we will remove from parent. And we're going to bounce back and forth between the third person character here. There's a few settings we'll need. So we'll get the player controller. Then we want to set the input mode. We're going to want this to be game only. That way when we're in this widget and we have access to the mouse, we'll set this back to the game proper. Maybe we want to set the mouse cursor to be shown. So we'll show mouse cursor and set that. If it was already shown, we're going to leave this blank so then it is no longer being shown. Then we're going to open up our third person character. And whatever input you want to bind this to, this is going to open up the level select widget. So we'll just get a keyboard event. I'm going to bind it to 1. And I'm going to create a widget. And that's going to be w_level select. Off the return value, we will add to viewport. And just like in our level select here, we'll just copy or get player controller. We'll need to replace the game input only with something else. So we'll set input mode. We'll see game and UI. You can also do UI if you'd like. And we're going to set the mouse cursor to be true. So now we can sort of see how this is going to work if we test it out. If we press 1, it opens up our widgets for each level. If we go back into our game instance and we uncheck any of these, save it, compile it, and run it again, you'll see it is no longer being added to our list. So at this point, we're going to choose between having our world partition or using level streaming. Using world partition is easy enough. This is by default what every project uses. So if we open level by name and set the name of our level equal to our level name here, whatever we pass is going to be what we have. So if I go to map, and then we'll just duplicate the third person map. And I'm going to name this level 1. And I'm going to differentiate this from the world partition default by just deleting a few objects. So going back to our third person map, we'll place in our unlock actor. And we want to make sure that our to level is instance editable, so make sure that you click on the eye and compile it. And you can also expose on spawn. So now in our actor, you'll see the to level. We'll say level 1. Then we're going to go back inside of our instance and I'm going to uncheck every level. So now we don't have anything unlocked. So if we just press the widget, nothing's going to show up. But if I overlap the box and press 1, we'll see we unlock level 1. and clicking on it, we open level 1. And that will unload everything. Now going back to our level select, and we're going to change this out, and we're going to go through level streaming. With level streaming, we need to load stream level by name. And we want to block on load to make sure that we don't go past this point unless this level is loaded. And here's the real trick with this. You could have multiple streaming levels loading, or you can just go one at a time. Depending on how you want to unload your levels, you either need to have something in your unlock actor from the level that you're coming from, like if the actor was just a doorway, so then we can unload the previous level, or if you just want to have a more quick and dirty way of closing everything that's not the current level, we can go doing that. We'll drag off of our level name map, and we will get the keys. Then we want to get a for loop, but unfortunately, if we want to cycle through this, we need to unload stream by level name, or unload stream level. This can only run one instance at a time, and a for loop is going to possibly, well, more often than not, try to run through unloading levels before it's previously done. There's no way to actually stop that with the built-in for loop. So we're going to make a new for loop. So we'll double click on our for each loop to open up the macro library. And on the search here, we're going to get our for each loop and then duplicate it. We'll call it for each loop with delay. Then we want to make sure that that's selected, and we're going to add an input. This is going to be our delay time, and that's going to be of type float. Then after our assign, we're going to get a delay. We can ignore the world context options and then just drag the delay time all the way to the duration of the delay. And if we go back to our level select, we get a for each loop. We'll be able to have our delay here. And we could set a small time of 0.1 seconds. Then on our loop body, we will unload stream level by name and pass it the array element. And it doesn't matter if you have this should block on unload, because as soon as this runs, it's going to delay and then run again, regardless of what this setting is. Either way, when it is completed, we want to make sure that we save our current level back into our cast. So off of our cast call, we're going to set levels. And we can tidy this up afterwards, but we want to connect this to be at the end, and we'll split the string. And we want to take our level name and save that into our game instance. That way, if you need to load a game or unload a game, you keep a reference as to what our current levels are, and it's all saved within the game instance. Okay. And then one last thing we need to add here. We don't want to unload the level that we're currently in, so we'll get a branch. And then we want to just make a little room here. We're going to check to see if our current array is not equal to our level that we're going to. If this array element is not the level, then we unload it. If it is the level, then we don't need to worry about it. And then finally, we just want to drag down on our map and assign it to be our level map, because if we don't, then we're effectively just emptying all the levels. So here I have a persistent level with one cube that should remain visible regardless of what sublevel we're in. And we have one unlock actor in the persistent map. When overlapping with this collision box, we'll be able to unlock level 1, which we'll be able to see another actor box and a sphere. In level 2, it'll be a cylinder, and in level 3, it will be a cone. So as we cross the threshold of the first collision, we unlock level 1, then we unlock level 2. We could switch back between level 1 and level 2 since we have that unlocked, and now we have level 3 unlocked. If you wanted to have this set up so then it can only be done, meaning we can only open this widget if we're within the confines of the collision box, you can go through looking up how to implement an interaction system and have that only be done while we're inside the collision. You can also have this automatically load the level rather than going through the widget, just by calling the portion here where we take the level from our actor. Rather than having it on the button press, you can call it through an interface and send it along somewhere to run this loop automatically, so then we load the next level. You can have it so then it only loads one level, which is going to be the 2 level in our unlock actor. And when we leave the collision box, we can go through casting to the game instance and then just unloading the level instead, doing that automatically. There are many different ways that we can do that, but the functions are primarily going to be the same. So that is how to do a level select with both world partition and level streaming. I want to say thank you to the pillars of Patreon, Winterberry Shark, Thatcher Moss, Francesca Poda, and K Panic, and everyone else for your amazing support. I upload an annotated copy of these project files to the Patreon, so if you're looking for a deeper explanation on why I did the project in the way that I did, or if you just want to show support for the tutorials I do, you can find a link to that in the description. And you can also join the Discord and ask me whatever questions you'd like. And finally, let me know if you liked the video by liking the video, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. With all that being said, thank you for watching, and I hope you've been inspired.